Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. If it's still morning wherever you are, happy Saturday. Our last class. Boo-hoo. I know in these last classes, I tend to feel like I got to cram so much in. So I'm going to try not to cram. We're really going to try not to cram so much. But I like to try and get everything in there that I think needs to be said. And then, of course, when you guys get the final version, you'll be, you can digest it again and take what you like and, revisit the things that really worked for you. We have several people who can't be here today, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, so let's just dive in because there's a bunch to do. And, everybody's hearing me, right? Thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Okay, and I make sure I'm recording. Yes. All right, so here's what's going to be going on today. We're going to talk a little bit first about the Love Magnetizer reminders. I did a bunch of profiles for folks this week, and it made me think of some things I wanted to share about dating profile tips again. And also we'll talk a little bit about the in-person piece for those of you who don't want to online date. And then we need to have the readiness discussion because readiness is important and there's different levels of readiness and how you can approach calling in your partner when you're not fully ready or don't feel quite as robust as you would like to be. And then we're going to dive into your list. I want to hear the lists that you guys created. It's so important to kind of put it out there into consciousness and just define it for yourself. And let's see. That should take us to the break. And then I promised you I'd share with you some of the love coaches I like to listen to. And I'll give you it's their Instagram or their TikTok, but you'll find them either way if you put it in Google with the hashtag I give you. Then we're going to do a Q&A period. So just a chance for you guys to say what you need to say, ask what you need to ask. Say where you are. And then I always like to acknowledge people and the process they've been through. I created some affirmations for you. And then there's a postscript to take with you and just basically the thank you stuff. Let me get my screen up here because I need my participants. Come on. For whatever reason, the application, I don't know if you guys are noticing it, the application's kind of slow this morning. I don't know if everybody's doing something or not on Zoom today, but well, I don't see I have my chat up, but I can't see who's here and who's not. So I'll try and get that going as we move along. All right, let's get to it. All right, the Love Magnetizer reminders. So magnetizer, it's kind of a word I like a lot. I use that when I do my abundance coaching, magnetism. And so this is those. I think we're all creatures of habit. I do it. I know you guys do it, but we have to ongoingly question our inner narrative because we aren't our thoughts. And I believe it was my magnetism class, but we can have up to 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are meaningless. They don't mean anything. That's just what our brain does. And so it's just so important that we continue to remember we aren't our thoughts because they can trick us. They can really cause us to get stuck. So that's important. I think it's helpful to write down what you think is true, what will work, and question it. That's part of why we look at these things we like, our list, but other things about what we believe is true, we get locked into it. But the bottom line is if what we were doing was working, we'd have love in our life would be where we wanted it to be. So we want to keep questioning. And then not to criticize ourselves, but to be with ourselves in a loving way. We're doing things for reasons, and sometimes it's just habitual. It's the comfort zone, but really learning how to be with ourselves with the things we do to ourselves, myself included. Remembering that love is plentiful and abundant. There really is no shortage. If we aren't dating or attracting people we either don't want to, or we're closing off our energy and our mind is rejecting it through our thoughts, beliefs, and patterns. So again, questioning, not just saying, well, it's not happening because blah, blah, blah. Don't let yourself off the hook. Leave the comfort zone, become vulnerable, take risks. If you want to bring something new in, love, career, doesn't matter. We have to stretch ourselves. We have to do something different. And the way toward love, to connection, is through vulnerability, because everybody, even the people you want to connect with, have their own stuff going on. They're vulnerable too. They're scared too. They have their own stuff too. And if we can display vulnerability, it gives other people permission to be vulnerable, but also then they can see us. They can say, oh, well, actually, I really like that. And some of the things that we don't want to be vulnerable around are the very things someone's going to like about you. And if they don't see it, how can they connect to you? So there is risk involved. And as we talked about last week in the dating process, yeah, it can be challenging and scary, and we can get our feelings hurt from time to time when we're put ourselves out there, but that's the risk, and you don't get one without the other. However, if you find yourself triggered or something comes up, that's just your opportunity to heal something in yourself or learn something about yourself and become closer to what it is you know you need/want. And at the end of the day, it's really about becoming more loving towards yourself and others. And if you just focus on that, love is going to find you. Most of us, are the people I know that don't have love in their life, they're not loving enough to themselves. And they stay more in that space of self-criticism or fear, and that's not love. That is a comfort zone that is uncomfortable, but it's familiar. So we keep doing it. So these are the reminders. And of course, this PowerPoint will go out to everybody. Wish I could get my other screen up. There we go. It's just weird. There we go. I don't know if you guys are noticing this. It's driving me a little bit batty because it's not working how it ordinarily works. We're supposed to be done with Mercury. Here we go, Mercury retro. There we go. Okay, now I can see everybody. Hi. Any questions, comments, or anything you want to say about that before we move on? No? Good, okay. All right, so, and this, I wasn't planning on doing this, but you know, I looked at a number of profiles over the week, and so the same theme came up. I think when we're doing dating profiles, we have to look at these as introductions, not a relationship. I think sometimes people start putting themselves out there like, I'm in a relationship, this is a relationship, and I need to set it up a certain way. And, you know, and I prefer you look at it like a means to meet someone, an introduction. And we want to look at it also like an invitation. So you want to keep it fun and inviting. Don't lead with your wounds and your defensiveness. I need this, I need that, don't do this, don't do that. Or just being really closed off. You know, I like Chinese food, you know, I like dogs, you know, just really teeny tiny, you know, breadcrumbing people with really showing them who you are. You know, rather think about having fun. And I know everybody in this group is so lovely and fun in certain ways. So make sure you're leading with that. When you get together with a person and have that one-on-one interaction, then you can start to dig deeper. But I don't care how good somebody looks on paper, until you get in person and start having an interaction, it's completely different. So focus on having a good marketing strategy, if you want to call it that. And I'm telling you, especially for women, if you're keeping it fun, but you know, layering it in with little tidbits of depth and details about yourself, you will come off as interesting. And you know, I'll speak to the feminine side too, Barry, in a minute, but you know, I think men relax more when they don't feel a lot of pressure from us, and they don't feel like they're in an investigation and scrutiny. And so us women, if we want a masculine man, we have to run the feminine energy. It doesn't mean we can't run some masculine energy, but you want to use language that shows we're a girl, shows that we are women. If we're just a powerhouse, if we're just to take no prisoners, I'm a badass, then a man is going to wonder how they're going to fit. So you want to make sure you project that. And sometimes that's through language, girl words, sweetness, maybe a little flirtiness of a sort, as long as to your comfort level. But again, playful, doesn't have to be sexual, but playful, and showing that you want to be a girl and bat your eyelashes and be seen in that way. And for, barrier men in general, if you want a feminine woman, project the masculine. I know a lot of men will say things like, I like to open car doors. I like to, that you're going to take charge in a certain way. Doesn't mean that that's the pattern forever that you'll be in, but we're responding unconsciously to these signals. And so if we just focus on being feminine, the masculine will show up. And if we focus on being masculine energy, the feminine will show up. And it's not either or totally, it's really on who you're trying to attract. I tend to like more alpha males because I'm an alpha female. Doesn't mean I don't like beta men, but they're just too soft for me. So, I'm going to project something a little bit different when I'm putting myself out there. So knowing yourself and knowing what's going to work for you, but get comfortable with those feminine words and those feminine traits. Can you give an example, Jackie, of feminine energy? Oh, that's right, because you didn't get to come you weren't in the link. So the feminine energy is more nurturing, and let me bring up that. Hang on if I can get to it. It's the compassion, it's the nurturer, it is the facilitator, it's the one who, the peacemaker, it's that person, the softer person. And I think last week I talked about how there was a woman who had to carry a gun in her job as a very edgy role. Her assistant called her sir. So one of her tasks was to first have her assistant stop calling her sir, and then she would do things that caused her to remember she's female. Lacy underwear, walking around in the high-heeled shoes, or even in her home, just to sort of the things that only girls do that make us feel extra sexy or feminine, that only we do. And those are just generalized examples. There's other things. But I will get that slide to you again about the feminine, masculine qualities. The men are more masculine, is more take charge, resolve, in front of, competitiveness, things like that. And we're the peacemakers, we're the nurturers. It just comes with the packaging. Step outside of your comfort zone, be vulnerable. You have to. I said that in the first slide. And when you're in the profile, the first thing you want to do is say/tell who you are in a statement. You don't have to go on for a paragraph, but you want it to be succinct, and you want it to be potent, and you want to use adjectives and language that is vulnerable and really puts it out there. And to the degree you can, I'm actually looking for a partnership that may want to become a marriage. I've been out of the game for a while, and I'm ready to open my heart to love. I mean, you really want to say it. You don't want to just say, I'm looking to take a walk, or let's have dinner. I mean, you can say that later, but you really want to put it out there in that first statement, grabbing line. And then you want to ask for what you want. Second, you want to say what you want. And depending upon where you are. I mean, some of us think, well, I want a marriage. Well, there's a whole lot between companionship and marriage. So ask for what you want. I'm looking for a friend that might develop into a long-term relationship, if that's all you're ready for. I want friends first, or I like a man who can, or I like a woman who can. You know, we just want to say exactly what that is in loving terms, not like you damn well better give this to me or I'm never giving you the time. No, it's showing someone who's reading your profile what you're about, what you actually need. I mean, some people say, you know, like for me, I'm 5'7", you know, I don't even say I want a tall person. That's not really an issue, but some people would say, I need a guy who's 6 feet, or men will say, I need a woman who's 5'5" or under. You know, it's okay to say things like that if that has something to do with your comfort zone, but be specific. And again, it's not an indictment. It's a sharing, and a sharing while you ask. Then after that, you can tell what you like and what you do, you know, and get into more details. But you want that first powerful statement about who you are, the second powerful statement about what you want, and then you can delve into more details about what you like to do and what your values are, and that kind of stuff. And different apps and different sites have different amount of space they will give you. And then you always want to end with an invitation. You know, invite the connection. You know, if you like this or something resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. And make it inviting. Don't say, if you, well, you know, thanks for reading this, like they're doing you some monumental favor. Hell no. Anybody in this group, anyone would be fortunate to get to know you. So just be confident and say, reach out. I'd love to connect with you if something here resonated. Sherry, I am funny and fun-loving grandma. I can't remember someone to share that. Well, I'd be careful about grandma. I mean, I don't know. It's subjective, but we are trying to, you know, this is ultimately going to be a sensual and a romantic relationship, one would think, unless that's not what one's looking for. So maybe that could be further down. But I don't know. If it feels right to you, I mean, that's kind of the bigger takeaway, and I'll talk about that more as we move along. So again, and let the serious conversations and qualification process happen after you meet. Use the profile, use the online thing as a ways to meet people, not qualify them. You can do a general qualification or hop on the phone and have a conversation, but until you meet in person, that's when you start, and it's not qualifying. It's like, do we match? Is this a match or is it not? And you're going to want to have fun with it as well. And let your profile be an invitation, not a wanted poster, dead or alive. It's like, you better do this, or, you know. And I'm being facetious in a way, because a lot of things I read feel so defensive. They feel so scared. They feel so, and you don't think of it in terms of aggressive, but when we lead with our wounds and our defensiveness, it can come off as aggressive unconsciously to someone reading it. It's like, wow, that person has a lot of walls. You know, that person is, you know, that's why I just think invitation. And, you know, you guys are all grown. You can manage a situation if, you know, just you want to stay open and get together with some people and find out how it feels. And again, I'm just reiterating where I started, keep it fun. So when someone reads it, they feel drawn and uplifted by your energy. Not everyone can, I mean, because there's a wide array of folks out there who don't want to be uplifted or feel better. But most people do. They'll really appreciate it when you're kind and you stay connected through the process, no matter what it is. And you just want to continue to be that positive force in the world, no matter what's happening in the interactions. Okay, any other questions about the dating profile tips?
Hi, Phyllis. I have a quick question.
Sonia, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So for the Facebook dating, I forgot to write the profile, but and just in my pictures, I kept saying, okay, I'll get around to it later, and then I got sidetracked. But now I'm wondering, since some of the guys I'm dating are from Facebook dating, would it be weird if I go back and add a profile now, or should I just leave it?
Not at all. I think that would be it's a good idea for several reasons. One is I think you should always be updating your profile every few weeks because you change. We all change and we grow with each experience, and where you began and where you are now is going to be different. And you're going to change the energy in just how you're showing up and just what you're putting out there. And then someone may go back who may have passed you by, for instance, or whatever. And then they go back and then they read something about you that wasn't there before. And then they might click on you because they needed a little more information. I mean, you're a beautiful girl. So, men are just going to like, oh, yeah, she's beautiful. Click. Yes. But beyond that, there's guys who want more than that. They want the depth and they want to know who you are. So the short answer is yes. And then the longer answer in general is to keep changing keep changing it at least once a month, updating, because when you're dating a lot, it changes who you are and you grow, you shift, and you're going to want to keep making sure that what you're putting out there reflects your current state of being. And then you're much more likely to attract partners who resonate with where you are.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. That was a good, okay. Any other questions about that stuff?
Well, this is Janice, and what about the whole issue of distance? I mean, it's just amazing to me. I mean, I'm in the Midwest in Ohio, and I'd get hit up from guys in LA, and which is, I very kindly say thanks, but no thanks. And then I got to thinking I should probably say in my profile, if you're more than 50 miles away, what's the possibilities, or is it practical? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I actually had a very serious relationship that started out long distance, so I'm not opposed to it. I don't like it. And as a rule of thumb, I don't want to see anybody who's too far away. I'm too busy. But I also want to keep my energy open. I mean, if they're on a different coast, probably not. I mean, the person I connected with was Southern California. I was Northern California. So, it was doable, but it was hard. And one of us ended up having to move, and it wasn't me. Okay. So I want to keep it open now. And it also depends on your time of life. So for instance, where I am, I'm only going to be here 3 more years. I don't plan to live here indefinitely. So, when my kids are off and launched, it's like I can kind of go anywhere I want. So I can be where I want to be. So I'm more open in that regard. If you're never going to move, or you like your home and you're staying there, you want to factor all that in. But you never know when there's that one person who might actually move for you. So it's kind of case by case, but generally speaking, I don't think it's the best idea. It's hard.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Good. Any other dating profile stuff? I know some of you guys who sent me your profiles are like, oh, wow, that's a very different approach. And which takes us into this, which is why I kind of got into this morning. Because one of you had said to me, I don't know if I'm ready. Well, readiness is most of the enchilada. Oh, wait a second. I do want to stop before I go into the readiness piece, because in the in-person, those of you who aren't going to online date, we talked about it last week, that you have to slow down, you have to make eye contact, you have to talk to people in the grocery store, at wherever you go, wherever you're allowed to go. Some things are opening up a little bit more with COVID, but you have to be willing to engage, say hello, give a compliment, ask a question, just even to boldly say, you're attractive to me. If you're interested, here's my phone number. You want to have a cup of coffee or tea, whatever your thing is. You have to be willing to do that. And I think sometimes we get scared, but often that fear is from a younger part of ourselves. So ask yourself, if the fear is driving your decisions, how old do I feel? Is my adult self really driving this decision in my mind, or is my 8-year-old? And let your adult self make the decision. And yeah, it might be a little nerve-wracking, but that tells you you're in a good space. You're being vulnerable. You're stepping outside of the habits of the uncomfortable familiar. Yeah, so slow down. Hey, what do you think about this tomato? Is this a good one? How do you tell if the avocado is any good? Hey, is this cantaloupe good? Just stupid, silly crap. Just find ways to have conversations. If you're not going to online date as a way of meeting people, you've got to find other ways, and it's engagement and direct conversation, not just going up to someone and saying, how's your dating life? Or are you married? Or you could say that, I suppose, but actually trying to engage with the person, not on a general topic that has no consequence to what you're doing, because people can misunderstand the signals then. And some people will be interested and some people won't. And you have to be willing to subject yourself to that, and for the greater good. And the way I like to think about it is, tomorrow isn't promised. Life itself is eternal, but the human experience is not. And if you want to have something occur in your life, you better lean into it. Give yourself permission to blunder. Give yourself permission to look like a fool if that's what you think. Give yourself permission to go after that which you say you want. And in the grand scheme, what's that old saying? 100 years from now, it won't matter. I mean, we won't even be here. Some of us, I probably won't be here. I don't know when my passing will be, but certainly 30 or 40 years, I'm not going to be here. So what difference will it make if whatever? I want to try and live out loud and make my life match the vision I have for myself. And this is my time to do it. And it's always our time to do it. All right, so readiness. No matter where you are in the spectrum of readiness, you can still have love and companionship. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I know a lot of us are trained, certainly in Western culture, to think it's marriage or nothing. It's living together or nothing. And anything in between is irrelevant, inconsequential, or not right for me. And there's all kinds of degrees of what might feel right to us for where we are, if we allow ourselves to put down the programming that's come with culture and the conditioning of life, to say, well, right now, I'm still kind of working on myself quite a bit. I don't know how open I could be, but I sure would like some companionship. I'd like to maybe have a physical relationship with someone. And so maybe you never considered a friends with benefits, but suddenly it's like, well, if I could meet someone I really liked and we had a physical relationship and we were kind to each other, and maybe that would be enough for now. And maybe it could grow into something else, maybe not. Or maybe I just want a friend who wants to take walks. Some of these dating sites have options for just friends, but try to answer the need and the state of being you are now. Don't resolve yourself that it has to be all or nothing. And sometimes those step-by-step relationships will help you they will help you heal. They will fill a need or a gap that you have and actually help you prepare you for something else that's deeper and riskier. So I'm just going to ask you to continue to look at the inner narrative, what we think we get locked into these boundaries and these barriers. It has to be this or it has to be that. And if it is this, I want marriage or I want it to look this way, okay, that's what it is. But you want to be sure that you are available and really ready to come forward in that loving, non-judgmental, unconditional manner that's required. But for those of you who are feeling like there's still a lot of personal work to do, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So any comments about that? Do you think I'm full of it? Or do you think that there's something to that? No, no takers? Okay. All right. So here we are at the assignment. Oh, Sally, I love the idea that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, we can be flexible with ourselves. It's not a crime. It's not, I think certainly in Western culture, we're coming from puritanical roots. We've been conditioned over a long period of time to think it has to be, and that is a box. So, and readiness could also be fluid as well, right? Yeah, exactly, Melody. Because kind of like what I was saying to Sonia about how we want to update our profile and our list. We want to keep updating these moments in time that we have memorialized in writing, because they reflect our state of being in the moment. So as you're progressing, you're going to attract different type of people. They're going to match where you are now. And then as you heal and transform, you'll be at a different vibratory state. And so you'll attract differently. And that's the point. You want to update your list and change your profile again, just in the smallest ways to reflect the nuance of your own transition. And yeah, nothing ever stays the same. That's the one thing we can always count on. So fluid, yes. And that's kind of the beauty of fear and pain and trauma, and those, when we get mired down in that stuff, it may feel awful and we may feel scared and we may feel like we're a prisoner. But if we stay open, we'll recognize it's going to pass. What's that old Og Mandino saying? This too shall pass. Yep. It always changes to something else. And that's how we know life doesn't end with the body as well. You can't kill energy. It just transforms into something else. Okay, kids, I'm super excited to hear what you want. And did you write down the qualities you're looking for in a life partner? Did you read through it? Did you drill it down? And did you prioritize embracing those traits inside of yourself over the week? No? Yes? So who did it? Come on. I need somebody to be brave.
Hi, Phyllis.
Who? Oh, Deja. Hi.
Hi. I'd like to share my qualities.
Great.
Okay. I'd like someone who is loving, physically compatible with me,
Okay.
spiritual, a clear communicator, and prosperous.
And what was the last one?
Prosperous.
Prosperous?
Yes. Having financial means and ease with his life. But can I speak on the second one, because this was very revealing to me. So the physically compatible with me, I had subtitles of requiring him to be healthy and youthful. And when I was turning those qualities back to myself, I found that I was a little uncomfortable. So I feel like I have work to do in that area. In the area of not viewing myself as being youthful or being healthy. I feel like my health there's some things going on. Yet I'm requiring it of someone else. So I have some inner work to do in those two areas.
Yeah. Okay. I just encourage you to sort of expand on the financial prosperity piece. um, and what that looks like to you. Like, for instance, some people want a travel partner, for instance, and they want to know, maybe they can't afford to pay for their partner and they want to know their partner can come with them. Or they're a little bit concerned, they've paid off all their debt and they don't want someone who's got mountains of debt that they might have to take care of. That's overwhelming to them. Or, maybe they have 5 children and they're still paying child support for the next 10 years. And that means they can't contribute to your household. I mean, so I think it's important to know what it means to you, because I think sometimes when men hear that, they think, oh, she wants me to pay for everything. She wants me to take care of her. And it feels like, it feels like they have a job to do as soon as they show up. So sometimes some examples that clarify, I'd like a partner who could travel with me, would be helpful. And do you know what it is, by the way?
Just that my mate is able to handle his financial responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to paying part of my way or him contributing something if we're taking a trip or something. In my last relationship, he had his own home. I have my own, so I have all my responsibilities financially. He has his. So just that he's able to handle his responsibilities and at some point perhaps contribute something, towards a trip.
Well, I mean, now that makes perfect sense to me. And I know I say something like, it's not how much you have, but how you manage what you do have.
Yeah.
And I that came to me once. I'd have a client who's very financially well off, and it's very rare she would ever find a man who makes more money than her. And she's like, how do I deal with that? And so then when we sort of drilled it down to that, well, as long as they manage, they're not out gambling and spending, or doing drugs or whatever it is. So good.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Loving, and that's all good stuff. And I like how, I'd expect this from you though. I like how you're looking at tying it back to your own wellness and making sure you're feeling good about that, and that you're being kind to yourself about where you are. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Wendy, so you do not want anyone looking for a sugar mama. Yeah. Okay, let me get where am I? Here we go. And by the way, did you do something this week, Deja, that to kind of it was just the awareness that you wanted to lean into that physicality piece, or?
Yes, I'm doing a couple of things, but it's almost like I take 2 steps forward and 3 backwards. So there's a new thing that I have to deal with this week. So, but I am trying to put structures in place to do a little light resistance training and walking more, taking better care of myself. But my whole theme this year is self-love. So I know how important that is. Mm-hmm.
It really is. Good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else feel inspired to share? Where's my chat room?
Hi, Phyllis. This is Tracy.
Oh, hey, Tracy.
Hey, so I did not write down qualities. And I think for me, I was in a long-term relationship, mostly marriage, for nearly 30 years. And it started when I was very, very young. And I don't know that I've come to know who I am. So I'm evolving and transitioning, and I'm coming to know who I am. So it's hard for me to identify the traits that I would really want in someone. I think it'll speak to my spirit, but I'm still learning me. When you mentioned about yourself with having kids, I have 3. My youngest is 18 and he's a senior in high school. So I'm looking forward to his transition to college, and I'm excited about the next chapter in my life. And I'm not really sure what that's going to look like, because I'm not really sure who Tracy is because I've been evolving around other people for so long. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I totally I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think for me, for you, I would be thinking about just really knowing where you are now, which it sounds like, you know, you're coming back into yourself in a way because you've been there so much for others. And that's okay too. I mean, do you think, is there room for partnership in your life right now, or is that still down the road?
You know, I say yes. I'm looking forward to that. I am. I'm really looking forward to it, but I've been very clear with myself that I didn't want to really go full throttle until my last child was off, so I could really focus in on me. Because my last situation wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because I didn't know who I was, and with that, I didn't have boundaries.
Well, and so, yeah, so the awareness about what you don't want is pretty large. And again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You know, there could, and you can play with that idea some more. And just to your point about not knowing who you are or coming back into yourself, I think we're all always doing that to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it ever stops. Not if you're a lifelong seeker or learner, like most of us in this group are. We're evolutionary beings, and we'll continue to be that.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that there's not an all or nothing thinking going on, and because you have this memory of what didn't work, so you can play with that and see if there's any.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I am that person though, and I think I spoke to this in a previous class. You know, marriage is an absolute for me. That being said, I'm looking forward to the process that leads up to that, which could take years. And I'm excited about it. So the friendship, the journey, the spending of time and growing and developing. So ultimately, you know, for me, I definitely believe I would be dating with intention, but I wouldn't throw away anything necessarily that didn't look in the beginning as if it was going that way. Do you follow me?
Absolutely. I am curious. This is just curiosity. I'm not going to drill it down in any way. What do you like about marriage? Why is that a goal?
For me, I don't know. That's a loaded question. It is. That's a loaded question.
Well, I'm not going to drill it down. I'm just kind of curious why that. I mean, you can do what you want. I'm just curious.
You know, some of it is you know, it is spiritual for me.
Okay.
And so that's huge for me. I am a big Bible person. You know, we all have our own moral codes and value systems.
Right.
And I am a big Bible person. So that reads to me. It speaks to me. So I'm in alignment with that one.
And so you would probably choose a person who's in that same, you know, theological perspective.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Well, then that would be your pool. Okay. I was just curious. Okay. Because sometimes when I ask people that, they don't really know. So I like that you know. That's good. Cool. Thank you so much, Tracy. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Anybody else willing or want to share their list or how that process was for them this week?
Sure, I can go, Phyllis.
Who's that?
Joanne.
Oh, hey.
Hi. I wasn't here last week, but I have some things that I wrote down.
Oh, good.
Okay. So my 5 qualities that I'm looking for, I put happy, reliable, sense of humor, affectionate, and spiritual. I had generous too, but I scratched that out because I didn't know if they were going to take it the wrong way.
Well, I mean, you can always elaborate on that. A generous spirit,
Right.
you know, yeah. And so these traits, by the way, are these things that they're deal breakers? I mean, these are must-haves.
I think they are.
Good.
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. All good. And so moving forward, you're not going to date anyone who doesn't have those, right?
Well,
Oh,
I don't think I could date anybody who's not affectionate, who doesn't have a sense of humor, who's not reliable or happy. Spiritual, I don't know. I guess it would depend. If they didn't believe in anything at all, if they didn't believe that there was a God or any higher spirit, I don't think I could, because that's who I am. So I don't know if we would get along.
well, and I hear what you're saying. I met this man once who was an atheist, but we could totally have the energy discussion and consciousness discussion. And so it's like, well, you call yourself an atheist, but what you're actually rejecting is a person sitting in a chair dispensing wisdom. And so I wouldn't consider him an atheist, even though he called himself that. So yeah, different people can define how they relate to the greater reality in different ways. Some people do it through nature. They have to be out and about. So,
Right. And it's interesting because I see on the websites, there's so many atheists. I'm like, I'm shocked.
yeah, it's a little bit of a red flag to me, but I'm always open. If there's other elements that really draw me to someone, I'm always open to hear what they have to say about it. Because it's interesting, most people don't have a good grasp on their spiritual perspective. It's very generic. They either went to church or some form when they were young, kind of followed along, but never clarified for themselves what the relationship to God actually is. And so it's very generalized. So not telling you to go seek out atheists. I'm just saying, again, it's all about being open and really finding out what it means to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sonia.
Hi.
Hello.
So my first one is healthy, but it's kind of an umbrella term, like healthy in all aspects, like emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, kind of like what Joanne was saying. Loyal, nurture, humorous, and a good father.
Now, wait a second. You're kind of doing that. You get 3 wishes from the genie, and then you say, I want 15 more wishes. So it's an umbrella for you, and then you've got subsections.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you another go at it, but see if you can shrink it.
Okay. I guess then the main one would be like loyal, nurture, humorous, a good father, because I'd like to have a child, so I think that's really important.
And one more.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say for the healthy, could it be like healthy in all aspects of his life? Instead of breaking it down to subcategories.
Well, I mean, it just seems like that could probably use a little more thought about what that really means to you on a feeling level. What are you afraid of? If, what do you think will happen? Because it sounds like there's some fear in there sort of dictating that, oh, I need to cover 10 more topics, that we might miss something. So what are you worried about?
I guess since I've dated a lot of emotional, unavailable men, so that's why I want someone who's emotionally available and healthy.
Well, so that right there is good information for you to lead with that in your own life and make sure that you're attending to your own emotional availability.
Yeah.
And and maybe in the past you liked potential and overlooked things when they showed you that they weren't emotionally available. I don't know. You can kind of do a little bit of reflection on that, but I would solve that one piece about I'm going to attract someone who's not emotionally available. So I better put all these qualifiers up. You want to be able to just draw someone to you based upon your own energy and be able to just state your intention. These are the things I really need, not coming from a fear place. That was kind of like the first slide. We don't want to lead with our wounding or our defensiveness or our fear. So I'd work that angle on the emotional unavailability piece and what that says to you about you, and how you happen to get fooled by the ones who weren't available, and can I take care of myself now? But they're all good. I'm just picking at you. That's my job. So
I guess the physical healthy, I guess that can go into the nurture because of my health issues. I want to make sure that someone's physically healthy so that if I do fall under the weather and is out for a few weeks, that they can pick up the slack, so to speak.
yeah. And was there anything you did this week to work on those traits, by the way, that you talked about?
Yeah. For the emotional availability, like I try not to spiral when one of the guys who's actually currently emotionally unavailable when he was kind of being his flaky self, I just kind of like took a step back and like, no, don't go down the rabbit hole, and instead went out with other guys in my funnel. So yeah.
Well, so not taking it personally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then if they continue to demonstrate those traits, no matter how much you like them or how interesting other parts may be, you have to say, well, this piece is really, they may have all these that check all these other boxes, but this piece shows me they're not going to be able to step forward for me. So I'm going to move on from that, which isn't always easy, especially if you're a sweetie pie like you and you like people. Yeah. Good. Let's see. Thanks, Sonia. Anel says positive attitude, kind, compassion. Okay, she's another one. She's trying to sneak a few extra ones in there. There's actually a reason the author, Catherine, wanted you to drill it down to 5, and it's kind of for this, that we're trying to protect ourselves. And so positive attitude, kind, compassionate, playful, enjoys outdoors, enjoys conversation, and good listener. Enjoys outdoors is not actually a trait. Enjoys conversation is not actually a trait. And no, I'm a good listener. Those are skills and those are things someone might like to do, but traits are really like loyal, trustworthy, has integrity, is, or someone who is a great lover, or someone who has great leadership, is an alpha or is a feminine. I mean, it really describes the essence of a person. I mean, and so when I look at this, I think you're kind of going, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you're going back and forth with the traits versus what you want to do with someone. And
well, I just look at what I enjoy doing. And so is playful a trait?
yeah, absolutely.
Well, then that could be, playfully enjoying the outdoors, playful in conversation. So I see how that can incorporate it. I see what you're saying, the difference between traits and
Yeah.
skills.
And needing, and it has to be a need. I mean, it has to be something that, absent that trait, you're not going to feel full inside the relationship.
Mm. Well, I went to probably a -2 in readiness this week, so maybe that's reflective.
You went to a -2. Okay, we'll have to talk about that a little bit later, but thank
Okay.
you now. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mary, kind, smart, sense of humor, positive, and affectionate. Yeah, boom. Mary knows what she wants. Yep. And you're probably all those things. So Melody, mental and emotional health will manifest in all positive health, so many other realms. So you're trying to do an umbrella to incorporate everything. So again,
I was just speaking when Sonia was
oh,
sharing,
okay,
just because all the
good.
general health, and I guess as a mental health specialist, I know that the emotional health will manifest in physical health, and
That's true. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying. Sally, honest, open, self-aware, loving, available. Okay. Good. Bhavia, so sorry. I completely spaced our meeting today. I'm leaving for SFO on Monday. Oh, okay. And I still have a lot to do. No worries. How about a good dancer? Is that a trait? Well, that's certainly something you can ask for. I don't know that that's a trait. You know, you can, someone who's open to exploring your, someone who's open, who might explore and, and as you get into these dating profiles, if you're super active and healthy, then you're likely to get someone like that who would be open if they like music, so there's different ways to ask for that in a profile. But the trait would be like, for me, for you, I know that you need safety. I know that you need someone you can trust. I know that you need someone. I mean, I just know these things about you. So I would think those would be traits you would aspire to see in your partner, that they make you feel safe and you can trust them. And yeah. Wendy, fun, honest, healthy, spiritual, and fun, honest, healthy, spiritual, and easygoing. And I'm not going to pick with what you decide you need for yourself, but knowing you, it seems like you'd also need someone who makes you feel safe. But again, maybe that falls in the honest category. And that's also just from some of the things you've said during the class. So good. Well, and so these lists can change based upon how you feel about various things. Yeah, and it's good to know what you actually need. So if you do go online dating, or you're out at the grocery store talking to somebody, you're going to readily identify, because many of us can just like people. We're kind of people persons, or what have you, and we're going to find something appealing in everyone on some level. But if we're kind of going, oh, this person's fun, this person seems really honest, and wow, they're getting a whole bunch of broccoli and carrots. They like to eat healthy, okay, and they look like they can stand on their own 2 feet, good. And then you'll be looking for that spiritual, and how easy was it to talk to them? Are they easygoing? But some of these things, you may not even know the truth until you've been with someone a few months. But if you can identify, these, at least the glimmer of these traits at the beginning, it's a good starting place. Okay, is anybody else before we wrap that piece up? No?
Well,
Barry.
I was going to say, the first thing is that you just click, and because that brings in a whole bunch of characteristics. If you find yourself, answering sentences, and then being able to trust. I don't know how you get to that point, but part of that's just clicking, and then having somebody be as attractive to them as they are to me, and being able to share that. And mostly that's about being able to see each other's inner light more than it is just how good somebody looks. And so, and a similar metaphysical, spiritual background and understanding is probably really essential. So that's Things can go fast or slow. You never know. Um, you know,
Well, and what I'm wondering for you is because you have defined yourself once during this class as being somewhat shy at times.
that can be, yeah.
I mean, so maybe the flip side of that is also someone who can either see beyond that or
That's part of the just. That's
Yeah.
part of the just clicking.
Well,
I know that's such a nebulous term, but with some people it just happens.
It's true, but I will say it can just happen. But with midlife relationships, it's very different. Midlife relationships are very different than 20 something, 30 something. And even as you start to get in the 40s, it starts to shift. They're very different because we've all had lives. Many of us have been married and have children. We've had a whole plethora of experiences that have changed us. And so that automatic come together click is not as readily available because we have so many walls and beliefs and things that have happened to us. What tends to happen is because we have lived longer, we know ourselves, or we think we know ourselves, but maybe we get a little better about expressing what that is in certain terms. But whatever we haven't resolved comes forward to be even more pronounced and it comes to the surface more quickly. So a lot of times in midlife, we come together quickly and then we can fall apart quickly because we get triggered really intensely. So that clicking, I don't know, it is feeling somewhat nebulous to me. And I think what you can, if you are connecting, then it will start to click. So I'm not going to pick it to death, but when I'm looking at your particular thing, you talked about shy, that ease. I like the word ease, that there's an ease of exchange or something with that person so that you can show your light and then they, them, theirs.
Well, it's come from, having doors slammed in your face when you've been, when you've been out, when you put yourself out there and then, you just, had a slam. So yeah, I'm gonna check to see how things click,
Well, I get it. And men have it harder in that regard for sure than women, way harder.
I'm very malleable. I've never been married. I don't have kids that I know of. And,
Okay.
of course, being that way, I'm, obviously have some set in ways things, but hey, I'm open to change. And,
and I'm glad that you're at least thinking about it, Bear, because, and then I think some of these wounded places, that's a great way to formulate affirmative statements to sort of dissipate some of that, some of that harder energy and that rejection stuff so that you can attract people who won't behave in such ways and you can attract that ease, that connected, that click. Yeah. But thank you.
Phyllis, this is Cheryl. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So when I was doing my list, I was thinking what's really important to me, well, I guess it would just be, maybe I just answered my question right now, is that a man that could be where we connect and it's very, where they're able to be vulnerable. So does vulnerability, okay, so I guess I started thinking about, okay, a good communicator, but a good communicator doesn't necessarily mean that somebody that can be vulnerable and recognize what's really going on inside them and express it, right? I don't know. I'm trying to find the one word to describe what I'm.
Well, I think when you use that word, have it mean what you think it means. You don't have to use the Webster's the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, you can have it,
Oh, okay.
have it connote what it means to you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Claudia, open-minded, loving, fun / uplifting, spirit, sense of humor, integrity, animal lover. Yeah. But again, and this is just me knowing you a little bit. It just seems like you'd need someone again who makes you feel safe and that you could really trust. I mean, maybe you're trying to get that through the integrity piece, but we don't want to overlook that. Hey, I've been hurt a lot. People have really let me down. And I need someone who can make me feel safe. I need that safety piece.
Yeah, that's what the integrity was, because I've had dishonest, disloyal.
But integrity doesn't necessarily mean that will make you feel safe, unless integrity itself makes you feel safe.
Okay, but isn't it my job to make myself feel safe?
Yes, but we can also have people around us who can also add that to us.
Okay.
Who can know we have vulnerable pieces and say, oh, well, I know when this happens, you can feel really vulnerable and exposed. So I'm going to wrap my arms around you and I'm going to tell you everything's going to be okay. And, and I'm going to kiss you on the cheek because I know that will uplift you at this moment. I want someone who is able to be giving in that way. I mean, we want to be able to be dependent on our partners. I mean, independence is important, but the interdependence is what we're striving for, that we want to be able to rely on someone again. That's kind of the point, not to just be two independent entities that kind of dance around, but that we can actually merge and come together and risk that vulnerability together.
Right, that's what's kept me out of the game, basically, is thinking I can't find that because I haven't had it. So yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head, of course, as usual.
You can absolutely attract it. And that's sort of, again, the point of clarifying these traits so that we know we're actually asking for what will cause us to be able to be close to someone. And if that safety piece is there, then that's helpful.
Thank you.
Cheryl, are you meaning you want a man who's reflective or introspective? Oh, you're talking, that's Melody. Okay. Let's take a quick bathroom break. I'm going to come back in 5 minutes. Just want to make sure we have enough time to get to everything. Okay. And then anybody who needs to share. Okay, I'm going to get going again, just in the interest of time, and hope everyone's back. So here we are. These are my favorite love coaches and gurus that I kind of pay attention to. One of these guys is these are all so Instagram or TikTok or not, probably even on Facebook, but if you put this in Google search, you'll find it. King of Kings Energy, and he's this badass young dude, amazing spiritual teacher from Germany. He's so good. I love him. He may not be everybody's cup of tea because he's in your face, but he is right on, I think. And then Michelle Manley Coaching. She's from England. She's a dating and relationship coach. So at michellemanleycoaching.com. And then this guy at The Love Drive. He's from Canada. He's amazing. He's really, really, really good. A lot of practical, interesting information. Michelle and the Love Drive guy, they're much softer. The King of Kings, he's in your face. So he takes no prisoners. So I like him a lot. He's young. So, but my thing about love coaches, it's like we're all useful. But at the end of the day, nothing substitutes for your own awareness in the present moment and staying in the flow of your own wisdom and guidance. And I coach a lot of people about their love life and such, and they've always had a lot of different love coaching and this love class and that love class. You tell, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. And a lot of it can be useful. But there's nothing like being in your own energy with your own state of being, following your own flow of energy and the guidance that comes in there. And so You know, a lot of this comes up when people say, oh, should I call this person or should I not call this person? Should I text this person or should I not text this person? And many times it's all about, am I in the flow? Does it feel right to me to do this now? Is it something I can do freely and makes me feel better? Does it give me something? You know, we're looking for experiences that cause us to feel better and bigger, not the opposite. And so as long as it's not depleting, you know, that's kind of you want to look at those benchmarks. Okay, so, and of course I'll send this out. So if you guys want to look at these people, Michelle Manley is this really soft-spoken woman with some really great information on masculine, feminine stuff. And anyhow, I think you'll enjoy at least checking them out. And because they have regular postings on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, it's the nice ongoing awareness. Okay, so here we are. Q&A, what you don't know, you know, and acknowledgements. And there is some final thoughts before we finish up. I know, Deej, you had texted me, will you be giving us many readings today, maybe towards the end? Yeah, I mean, if you want a reading about something, have it be a direct question, because it takes too long for me to pull your energy and to read you. But if you have a direct question, I'm happy to answer it. But I also want to make sure, in terms of the love piece, the love class piece, that you have a point of view about your state of readiness. That's really important to me. That you know where you are and that you know what your next steps are. And if there's any glaring holes for what you either expected to happen, wanted to have happen, or I want to know what those are so I can address those. And just anything else that's coming up, from just the deeper issues to the profiles, to dating itself, to whatever it is. So this is the chance. And again, if you want to ask me a psychic question, just make sure it's a direct question, so I can just, because you light up like a Christmas tree and I can just pick it out, as opposed to me pulling in your impressions, which takes about 10 seconds or so. Okay. Bhavya, I don't know what my state of readiness is, and must admit I haven't lately done my homework. So if you could help me with that and what my next steps are. Okay, well, I probably would go back and revisit some of the exercises. If you didn't get the book, Calling in the One, you don't have to, but and see if there's something in those exercises for you, because what you have consistently talked about through the class is sort of your level of trepidation and fear with putting yourself out there and kind of getting involved. So that also suggests there's maybe some healing work to be done, or, you know, that you could really use someone's arms around you, metaphorically speaking, as well. So I would be considering those things, especially if it were me, and sort of softening some of that energy, because it feels hard. It feels tough. It's hard to be scared. I mean, it doesn't feel good. And so if you do feel reactive like that, I'd be working those levels to just soften that bit and really be kind to yourself. Really be kind. And I love that you're doing the dancing and the piano playing, all that. I think anything that doesn't require language and we can heal in different ways through that. So I like that for you. And then once you feel, you may not be able to get rid of all the fear, but you think, well, I want to, that there's an actual desire. You can build on that desire to move your situation forward in some way. But it's kind of one by one step for you. I would tone down the fear piece and see how you can become mentally feel like you can be safer, and then see if the desire can really emerge to lead the way for what your next steps might be. And some of that might come through revisiting the homework. Melody. Phyllis, are you able to read a pointed question like, when will I meet my next soul partner? Yeah, absolutely. Easy peasy. Melody, let's see, Melody. Okay, there you are. Well, you have to uncover a little bit. I just want to tell you, you're a little covered up. Not terribly so, but you are covered up. So that is a delayer energy. So if I look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I do think that you will meet someone that this year, right? I do think you'll meet somebody this year, but it's later in the fall. And I don't know if this is a long term, but it is a soul partner, is someone who will take you a distance. So I'm guessing October-ish, November-ish, could be sooner. And then the more you take off the coat, the more you let down the barriers, because you've got a lot of this going on. Stand back. The better it'll be. The easier it comes, the faster it comes. That's cute. Same question. All right. Well, that makes it easy. Joanne. Okay. It's funny. Here I start to read, and my cat wants on my lap. Come on. Joanne. Okay. Where are you? Joanne. Well, you're tricky because, yeah, you're tricky. You need to be careful, Joanne, about not being too smart for your own good, because you're kind of in a loop. Like, you want a relationship, but you don't want a relationship. You want a relationship, but you don't want a relationship. So there's an ambivalence that's coming forward in your desire. And so I think that's going to need to be cleaned up, because you certainly don't have any trouble attracting people who might want to be with you. But I think what you're attracting is reflecting your own ambivalence towards the process. And, you know, there's a lot of residual disappointment sitting in your energy. So I'm just going to encourage you to sort of clean some of that stuff up and get really excited. You got to be, this has to be fun. That's what I said at the beginning. It's got to be fun. You got to see this as a fun, good thing, not like, oh my God, or yeah, I want to. No, I don't. I mean, so Joanne, where are you? I don't see your picture. Are you relating to that? Because right now, when I look at your next
I'm right
soul
here.
partner, yeah. I mean, are you ambivalent? Do you go back and forth?
I think the thing that's changed is I'm getting comfortable being by myself, whereas before I always felt like I needed somebody.
Oh,
So I don't know if that's detrimental or good.
well, I don't think it's either. I mean, we got to be by ourselves. We might as well like it. So I just want to make sure that you are really excited and welcoming, and just, you want it, that you're like, yeah, I want it. I mean, I don't get that from you. Do you?
I think I am.
See, I think I am.
I mean, I get excited when I'm thinking there's a prospect, or somebody, I get a ding on Match or something.
Okay.
So,
Well, as of now, you're telling me February of 2022. So make a liar out of me. Do it way sooner. Do it way sooner.
thank you.
But you're the type that if you bring someone in, that will be a long-term partner. So you might be able to bring someone in. There might be a potential in September, but the real keeper feels more like next year. So yeah, make a lot out of me. Do it sooner. Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl. Oh, now see, you need to hang out with Cheryl more, because she's like hell of enthusiastic. She's like, do it, bring it. I want it now, make it happen. She's like, I mean, wherever the will and the intention goes, wow. So I'm feeling like you could actually meet someone as early as August. I just would encourage you to keep working your traits and yeah, and being discerning and all of that. But yeah, I think as early the 1st of August, you could meet someone. And you might actually have a starter relationship in June. So you're moving into a relationship pattern where, you know, you're going to be trying people on, you're going to be working it. So good for you.
Yes, thank you. Woo!
I know you're excited. That's
Yeah.
Sally, let's see. Everybody wants, okay, good. Sally, Sally. Okay, so you two are in a summertime pattern with Cheryl. You're telling me somewhere around mid-July. And all I just want to say to you is, you know, again, being sure about what you want. We don't just have to go from long-term relationship to long-term relationship unless that's what you want. You know, and you don't have to settle into something. Make sure it really fits. But I think there's someone who's going to try and snag you in July. So just make sure you want to be snagged. Okay. Anel, this last week, my readiness dropped off the charts, partly because of physical pain this week, and the idea of wanting a friend, a male or female, seems to be more important to me. Well, you know what? I think that's more paying attention to what your system is telling you, and just keep honoring it. It won't lead you astray. It won't. If you just keep following your own navigation, it doesn't have to be either or, one or the other. Just follow your own navigation. And if you're being called to orient towards a friend, do it. Orient towards that friend. Maybe that friend will turn into something more. Maybe that friend will introduce you to someone who inspires, you know, other feelings from you. But just keep following those breadcrumbs. Mary, I'm still feeling stuck. When do you see me meeting my soul partner, and what can I do to get unstuck? Well, you have to stop putting pressure on yourself, first of all, you know, and I think you have some pain still from your last relationship that's still there, and you're wanting to be done with it. You're wanting it to, and it takes what it takes. You know, it takes what it takes to move on from someone and break those attachments. So, you know, be patient with yourself, for God's sakes. I mean, I know you're a power player in the world. You know, that's great, but don't force yourself to be a power player in your heart space. Let yourself be that feminine. You know, you still have some stuff in there from the previous situation, and, you know, be with yourself with that. It doesn't mean anything about who you are. It just means that you care. And attachments are not easy to break. They're hard. So I think that's the stuck piece. But in terms of a next person to enliven your experience again, you know, I don't think it will also be this year. It looks like, again, another summertime, end of July, mid to August. It does feel like you're going, I mean, and you'll probably date before that. But that's when it looks like you will either be in something or you'll be in a new situation that feels very playful and fun, and it feels very connected. So, I mean, this work we do to integrate pain and disappointment and breaking attachment, it prepares us for other things. It's really raising our vibrational state in other ways. So, you know, I know, yeah. I don't need to say more than I did on that. Ditto, forget the end stuff. Bobby, I actually have the same question as Melly, also where I should be looking, US, Germany, or worldwide. Well, given that you are a worldwide traveler, yeah, you can be open. It's up to you. You know, I had a client who he fell in love with someone who lived in Germany, and it was really difficult because he was on the West Coast and trying to go back and forth, and, you know, always longing for one another. So if you have the resources to travel, I think that's helpful. And if you have the time to travel, that's helpful. So just know that it's something you can do if you want to stay open to it. Otherwise, I'd stay local. And in terms of your partner, Bhavya, you know, you would have no trouble calling someone in if you just ask for it. But that readiness piece, that safety piece, because it looks like you could pull someone in as early as June. Just make sure that you're ready, because you don't want to pull somebody in and that you've asked for the things that will cause you to feel safe and secure, because you don't just want to pull somebody in because you can, you're a good manifester, and then have it just re-agitate those old wounds. So I think you're not going to have any trouble as soon as you press go on, I want to do this. You just haven't pressed go yet. Sonia, I'm afraid to make the wrong choice, even though in my head I know that I won't. How will I know which one will be best for me because I really like a few of them? Well, I think you do have to thin the herd a bit, and makes, I think when I say qualify, it's like when we start to see the flaws and idiosyncrasies of someone, we have to start to say, is this something I can live with? Is, because nobody's perfect, but can we merge our lives? And so begin to be more discerning. And I know you care about people and connect, and that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. We can connect to people who are all effed up. I mean, but we have to have the strength to pull away when we see that there's something that's just not going to be workable. So I think you could do a little bit more on that end. And then it takes time, it takes time. But the sooner you can reduce the herd, the more you can start working with fewer, the easier it'll be not only for those relationships to develop, but for you to know which one is the right one. Claudia, I'm still working on being able to trust, aren't we all? Any tips on moving through this that I may have missed? Well, I mean, trust is really, it's all about trusting ourselves. And so, for me, what always works is going into those times when I either felt betrayed or I'm like, oh, I made the wrong choice. And, doing a deep dive and really looking at that to see how I got myself there, doing the 360 so that when I come out the other side, I see it as an abundant experience. I don't see it as a negative. It's like, well, that was hard, but man, look how wise I am because of that. So we want to get those moments to a prosperous place in our energy, and that will make you trust yourself more. And then your trust factor raises, and you will attract people who are more trustworthy, or you'll spot the signs and move away very quickly. Phyllis, I have same question as Mary, not stuck. Is the guy I'm seeing now, send me his first name. That's his name? Okay. Okay, let me grab Janice and his name down. Okay, let's see him, Wagner. I don't know if that's how you say it, but well, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't resonate like a soulmate, but it certainly, there's some stuff here to do with this person. So this is someone you definitely want to see and will see for some time. So yeah, I mean, this is an exploration, an experiment. This is someone you definitely want to explore more with, and he with you. My biggest concern is that you are a tender heart and you're a little scared, and sometimes he's going to come off as indifferent, and he's not, but he can come off that way. So he's going to trigger you in a lot of ways. So that's a good thing for you to really look at that in your own person. But we'll see, and you might wear him out a little bit because he doesn't understand why you're freaking out all the time. But I think this is a good thing to try. He's actually a kind person, a good person, and actually fairly darn patient when push comes to shove. So yes, he's someone worth dating for sure, getting to know more about.
Thank you.
Okay, and Barry, same question, when? Well, and you're scared too, so, but you are a love bug. So you sort of got the dance going and the energy, trying to balance it. Let's see. You're showing me a strong potential in January of 2022, someone you actually may meet around the holidays. So I think that is a good opportunity, January 2022. And you're going to be working your way there. And again, make a liar out of me, do it sooner. But I think when we have fear and resistance in our energies, it's a concoction. We're trying to move these energy patterns forward, and they push and pull and stop and start. And so just stay with it. Did I get everybody who needed to be got? Good. All right. Oh, I realize today how scared I am, but what do you see? What do you mean, what do I see? About what? Jackie. Oh, okay, Jackie.
Phyllis, this is Tracy. I'm sorry.
Who's that? Oh, Tracy.
Tracy, can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead. Since you're on the phone, and Jackie, I'll do you next.
Okay. My question is, where do you see me relationally in the next year, and is he in Ohio?
Geography. Okay, let me grab.
Yeah.
Tracy. Okay. As of now, because it's hard for you to pull in a relationship right now. You're just not you're not attracting right now. So I think you're going to want to turn your attraction button on and welcome it in when you're ready. A little bit, you and Joanne have a little, you don't have ambivalence, but Joanne, like, you keep turning yours on and off. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So you're going to want to turn yours on and make sure it's something you want. There is someone in Ohio, but I don't know if that's your person or if that's someone you would date. But right now you're so far from it, it's kind of hard to see where it might land. Once you turn your switch on and decide to open up to receive, you could have multiple opportunities. Where are you? Where do you live? What state?
Ohio.
Oh, you are in Ohio. Okay.
Yes.
Well, for me, the issue isn't geography as much as it is you turning your switch on. You can't see me, but I keep turning a switch into the camera because you're not on. You're not open to receive. So once you're open to receive, you won't really have an issue attracting someone. And there's 2 or 3 people that will be in your vicinity. You will have options. So you won't have to just choose from one, kind of like Sonia.
I like that.
All right, and Jackie,
Thank you.
Of course, of course. What do you see with love relationships, Jackie? Okay, so, it's okay to move forward and try and attract a relationship even when you're scared. It's part of the process, moving through it, just learning how to put your arms around the fear while you have it and say, well, I'm going to be a little shaky while I step into it, but that's the way through. And I will get less afraid, or depending on where the fear is coming from, I'm just going to say you have a deep fear of not being enough and being rejected. So, I'd continue to work those levels and, make sure you stay out of that energy when you're dating. If that happened when you were 6, 20, 12, whenever the age is, make sure you're staying, behind the eyes, the 6th chakra, bring your energy up to stay in that adult, wise self. Let that part of your system drive the ship. And then as you react to life situations, attend to yourself, be with yourself, and just stop criticizing yourself, for God's sakes. And then if you do that, you're such a sweetie pie. You're a sweetie pie. just sweet, sweet. You're just so cool. I mean, you won't have any trouble attracting a partner. Your first really good opportunity comes in November, not that you can't before. And it feels like a practice. It's like, and then as you move into 2022, you're more in a relationship pattern like Cheryl. So I think even though you identify as being really scared, I think you're readier than you realize to go in that direction. You just need to oil the parts a little bit and start moving some of that energy around, and you will metabolize it and integrate it. And I think 2022 will be just significantly better for relationships for you than it has been for a very long time. And Wendy, let's look at you, Wendy. Where are you? Oh, okay. So you can't push a wall, you can't push away, you can't give mixed signals. I mean, you can, but you don't want to. You want to say, yes, I actually want this. Because you're a powerful person, you have deep, deep emotions, and those are the most powerful magnetizers and creators. And when we're trying to attract relationship, so you have to flip to your vulnerable side, that soft side that you don't want to show folks, but that's your sweet spot. And if you will allow that to happen, you could have a partner as early as the fall as well, and move into that. But you're gonna need to pull the walls down. You're gonna need to work that level. So but yeah, October, November, a sweet dude. I mean, he's really lovely, likes to barbecue. So I hope you do. Good. Anybody else? Was that it? Okay. I just want to take a moment, and I just want to say an acknowledgement to everybody for exposing yourself to my scrutiny. I know it's not always easy. You know, I love and care about you, and I do it from that perspective, but it's not always easy to be seen and to show up in this way. And you've given me such a tremendous gift to be able to create this platform, and you guys have showed up in such an incredible way that I know that the people who purchase this down the road, who don't know you and or know me or any of that, they're going to really have a robust experience. So thank you, each and every one of you. And then I created some affirmations for you that I will send out. And these came also from the book, but I modified them a bit, and you can modify them to your own language taste. But thank you, Divine Mother, for bringing great love. We want to affirm it as if it's happened. I'm open to love and I receive it now. Who I am is love, and I'm attracting love in this very moment. I know that my beloved is coming to me right now. I am already connected deeply to my life partner, and I receive that partner now. And I now receive the miracle of spiritual partnership, knowing that ours is a blessed union. And of course, our favorite, I do not chase, I attract. And I love, I am enough. I believe in me. I'm worthy of love. I'm on my side. I take care of myself. My heart knows. And if we can stay in this type of energy and right relationship to love itself, you'll have no issue. Zero. You just won't have an issue. And if you have the book, this is on page 324, but I thought it was the perfect ending to Catherine's. You know, in my work over the years, I've come to see that people are divided into two categories. Those who want love in their lives and will faithfully do the work to actualize love, and those who want love in their lives but won't. Those who will do the work understand love as a creative action that they are free to choose at any given moment. Those who won't do the work tend to see love as a thing to get or as a place to hide out. So I pray with all my heart that I have enticed you towards the former. So yeah, it's like from this point forward, it really is about staying connected to your process and living it and not allowing yourself to go to sleep, and leaning into the journey. And I think when we're trying to partner, and that includes dating and at the grocery store or wherever, trying to talk to people, it really stimulates the best growth in us. So just allow yourself to have those stimulations and wrap your arms around yourself and be with it. And you'll find your way and you'll have great relationships. And there's so much love out there. If you don't think there is, that's because something you're telling yourself. I mean, and we talked about how you turn the faucet on last week. It really is that. You can turn on the faucet and have as much as you like. And you can talk about that to me in greater depth in many other formats. So we're at the end. We did it. We made it. We got through it. You survived. And thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I really appreciate it. And everybody showing up and giving your all. It was really fantastic for me. And again, I just appreciated all of your authentic contributions. Yes. You're most welcome. You're most welcome.